Oh, all right, friends. Well, I felt the need to have just a spoken word at the start of today's practice for friends that have come live, as well as friends that might come, and enjoy this as a recorded practice. So this is Tuesday, October 10th. It's heating up, y'all. I mean, if you live under a rock, then maybe you don't know that it's heating up. And if you live under a rock, more power to you for doing that. I don't know what you eat, where you go to the bathroom, or any of those practicalities. But for the rest of us that don't live under rocks, it's heating up, it's definitely vibing up. And I really felt a massive threshold crossed over this morning when I woke up. I was just like, and this is different. We can look to the global stage and see, the world events that are happening, the perpetuation of violence, historical violence that's rooted in, and I don't mean this to oversimplify things, but stories, right? So when like the story becomes this just out of control, active scenario that feels senseless and uncompassionate, um, and has felt that way the whole time. What's happening in Palestine, in Israel, what is ongoing happening in Ukraine. These are the stories that we know, and then there are the countless things that we're not tuned in about. I think about many places in the continent of Africa. I think about many places in South and Central America right now. So this feels like a lot. This is all happening as we gear up for eclipse, which is on Saturday of this week. It's on the 14th. And um, at least in the astrological realm of things, there's so many indicators for violence right now. It's very intense. And so for some reason, my son is up very early morning, not the son, that son, popped up this morning. And I know it's because he's tuned into the resonance of his ancestors. His ancestors are from this land, of Israel, of Palestine, of Middle East. And I know why he's awake, because he's resonating. What's happening is resonating. And so we are tapped into so much. We are connected to so much in the energetic realm of things. And so when we come to really intense cruxes like this, there's one solution, and that is to lean into your practices. What are your practices that support your mental health, your physical health, your well-being? Because we have to gain a little clarity on, like, okay, what really and truly is like my biochemistry? Okay, where am I in my cycles? What season am I in? What's happening here? What can I ascertain that's like really my internal landscape, my biochemical, fascial, kind of thing? And then what am I connected to, right? It's only through some sort of practices that help us gain clarity and insight. Prayer is a powerful practice. I definitely was saying some prayers this morning, right? And this guy like popped up, thought it would be real funny to like scare me, like at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was just like, my guy. Just happy, like, aggression isn't what popped out of my body, And so they don't know the children. They're just like, ha ha ha, look, I'm up at 5:30. Like, that's just not funny. No, please go to bed. But at the same time, I want to help you understand why you're awake. So I felt the need to really just speak to the compound complexity of the moment, and that, like, we have to lean into practice, whether it's pranayam, whether it's affirmation. And I think it's important that it's not just conceptual, that we like get in this body and we breathe and we find spaciousness and we observe for expansion and we observe for constriction, and we invite constriction, like, might you like to do something different, or can you do what you're doing but even more efficiently? Like, can we make these little offerings to the body while maybe we even like light candles, say prayers, make external offerings? And our meditation practices are going to be about checking in with this mental space, this emotional space, and then is this clairvoyant space. And it's real hot in there at the moment because really big negative collective acts open up clairvoyant wavelength. It's paradoxical. So when humanity is doing like terrible atrocity things, the opposite opens up and all of a sudden we get more bandwidth. But guess what? Now we're also really tuned in to those intense negative vibrations, right? It's a funny catch-22. So we have to lean into our practices so that we can gain some manageability, or it's going to be tough to get through your day. Or there might be a projection of one bucket of things onto another. So this is a little, I felt the need to speak to this because it's really important to be responsive to the moment. So let's see what we can explore in the body today. Let's see what we can see of this phenomena of, welcome Janine. We were just having a little check-in on the heightened events, the heightened energy of the moment, this lead up to this big solar eclipse at the end of the week. There's a lot going on. We want to lean into our practices to gain perspective. And from there, what are our actions? What are the best actions that we could take to contribute towards essentially collective liberation, towards the ending of cycles of violence that are senseless? What this, the ending of like being on the receiving end, but not having the clarity to discern, okay, I can turn some volume down here. I could dampen a little over here. That doesn't mean I'm turning away from what's being put in front of me. Unfortunately, the story that's being put in front of you is curated. It's not the whole story. We will have to go into our bodies to really and truly be able to discern truth. This is the main message, like that. So let's do some practice. Let's do some breathing. Let's do the whatever we're feeling. This is my invitation. So I hope these words are a little bit helpful. Or it's still too early and you're like, I'll catch this on the replay. So I'm going to invite you onto your mats if you're not already there. And let's come onto our backs. Let's really just like be on this earth as we connect to the earth of this body. Whew. Maybe the knees are bent and just bringing the hands onto the belly, offering up this moment of this body onto the earth, a devotional practice. How is the breath today? How are you breathing? How is the breath accessible or not accessible? I'm just gonna mute one of you guys here. Depending on the time of day that you're doing this practice. And even from this position, let's take a little scan of the body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes, tips of toes to crown of head, front and back, right and left. And let's just feel where are the places in the body where we can feel expansive. Where are the places in the body right now that feel constricted? Really check into each region, the head region, arms, and the trunk. The legs and the feet. Couple gentle pelvic tilts from this position here and feeling what throughout the pelvic bowl or the auxiliary connecting parts, groins and hamstrings and inner thighs, big muscles of the glutes in and around the pelvis. At the top, diaphragm. Little micro movements emerging that allow us to explore. Draw the knees in towards the chest, give the legs a hug. Little rocking from side to side. Holding at the knees and allowing for a few circles here. Knees come in towards the chest. Knees move away from you or down towards the base of the sacrum. And the opposite direction. A little widening of the knees, rocking side to side. And then let's take the knees in figure eights. So we're still rocking and we're moving in opposites. And we're switching directions. Back into the center. Bring feet onto the floor and stretch the left leg into the air. Right knee is on the right knee. Right foot is no. I've got my right leg in the air, left foot on the floor. Clasp your hands around the back of the thigh, and then let yourself be relaxed. Let's make circles with the ankles. Circles with the ankles. Circles in opposite directions. We're gonna flex. We're gonna point, and then we're gonna push through the ball mount of the foot or a demi-plant. Flex, point, and push through the ball mount. Definitely expansion and contraction here, right? What's holding, what's tight when you flex, when you point? What about fascia on the top or bottom of the foot? I've been feeling a lot in my knees since I got here into the mountains. Uphill and downhill. Yes. Nice. Couple more circles. See if anything decided to loosen up yet. Making little invitations. And let's go to the other side. Clasping hands around so everything can be nice and relaxed. We're starting with circle. And circles in the opposite direction. We're flexing, pointing, and pushing through the ball mount of the foot. Point, push through the ball. Flex, point, push through the ball mount. Just taking our time here. Sometimes we breeze through these things. And today we just want to be present with what we're doing. Tuning in, listening, honoring the connectivity of this body, the wholeness and completeness of it. And each part deserving a little attention. Stretching both legs. Stretch the arms overhead, big starfish. And then stretch through the body. And wiggle the legs. Pavanuttanasana. Clasp the hands on the shin or behind the back of the thigh. Flex both feet. Just breathe and hold here. Welcoming the sacrum. Welcoming the earth of this body, the lower part of the pelvic bowl. Being present in this pose. And with your next inhale, you can stretch this leg outwards 45 degrees or not. Really depends on if your low back likes that or not. Bring it on down to the floor. Left leg comes up. And you could skip all of that. Sometimes if we have a little sciatica or something constrictive happening in the low back, that leg lift doesn't feel good. Skip it. It's not a necessity. We do want the knee to be fairly directly over the hip. Part of this pose is about squeezing the organs. And we might squeeze a little wind. What's happening in that opposite leg? I have both feet flexed. I can really feel that opposite leg, the presence on the floor. I'm reaching for the floor with my extended leg, not allowing it to pick up, but really be an anchor for the opposite side. Next inhale, either stretching the leg onto the floor into the air and lowering down. Couple windshield wipers on the floor. Let's do some double leg twisting so both knees are bent, arms are out to the side. And zigzag twist, so feet are a little bit wider. And we're turning in opposite directions. Inhale in the center. Exhale as you twist. Breathe as you hold. Mm. Maybe one more of these to each side. You're welcome to explore what feels really good in this pose. Does it feel good to just bounce from side to side? Does it feel good to just hold, breathe, and be present in this pose? And how about the opposite side? We're all the way back to the center, and we're going to just kind of roll over onto the belly. Invite in a little exploration from here. Hands are by the sides of the chest, legs together for the most part, but this should all be very relaxed, right? We're not trying to squeeze glutes. Pardon me, we're going to bring belly into the floor, lifting for a baby cobra. Feel those upper back muscles. And then do a shoulder roll and feel how the shoulder blades, they can move up, down, they can squeeze together. Big breath in and then come all the way down. When you have your forehead to the floor, we take this breath like you are breathing in between each of the spinal vertebra, right? That's the feeling, like lengthening, spaciousness between. Let's do this a few times. Belly pushes into the floor. More like that's sort of like leverage. You're lifting all the efforts in the upper back. I'm rolling the shoulders, and I'm also playing around with where's my head, where's my neck, what's comfortable. Breathing in, exhaling down, make space. And in fact, take as many of these in-between breaths as necessary. I'm going to do about 3 more of these. So I'm hearing all these little sounds from like hips, spine, this, and that. And these are, it's just like ligaments and tendons moving. You know, they can sound like almost crunchy or sort of thumpy. Because what we're essentially doing is getting fluid moving in fluid filled spaces. And so anatomy moves. It clicks over little bony protrusions and this kind of symphony of the body. Really enjoy this breath on the floor. Nice and last one here. Roll the shoulders. Let's hold in the baby cobra. I'm just again grounding in a little bit of rotating the heels towards one another, just feeling the presence of a little bit more inner thigh on the floor. These back muscles feel very strong, like they could keep holding. Neck, that's in a different vibe. Heaviness in the shoulders. I might shoulder roll again. Let's see. What about down at the bottom of the shoulder blades as I'm holding? Can I breathe into that space between the bottom rib and the top of the hip? And if I pick my hands up holding here, nice breath in, hands come to the floor, we're all the way down. Stretch the arms forward into reversed corpse pose. Thumbs are just gently touching, arms are extended, forehead comes to the floor. We breathe to the back body. The back body is way up in the sky, right? We can feel interacting with all the spaciousness that surrounds. Now, with each exhale, allow your anatomy to literally melt into the earth. Let your forehead adjust as needed. As the body melts, spine lengthens, nose smushes. These are poses to help us power down the reactive part of the system. Maybe that part of the nervous system is interfacing with the mind and it's spinning. What should we do? We feel helpless. These cycles of atrocities go on and on without end. Some people look, some people ignore. All of this very much heightening the system. We're resonating on ancestral levels, on the communal ancestral level of earth indigeneity. Here we practice good self-care, not by ignoring, but by tuning in and offering up the possibility of a little de-escalation in this body. What are you observing in this process of de-escalating? What is the spine saying? Let's do a little bit more activation this time. Half locust pose, arms are in line with shoulders. We're going to lift. What I would recommend doing is we're going to lift opposite arm and leg, right arm, left leg, but first flex the left foot. Literally put the toes on the floor. And as if somebody was pulling the heel, tractioning out of the hip, then lift and down. Same thing on opposite side. I flex my foot, the toes are on the floor. It's like somebody's giving this lovely traction. I'm pulling my heel away from me before I lift up, and then I lift. Just enjoying some traction and spaciousness in that hip socket. We're going to do 4 to each side. Take your time. Relax your jaw. What's jaw doing while you're doing this effort work? We don't have to lift very high at all. It's not ab class. Just enough that the limbs are off the floor. It's enough work. Check in with the jaw. I'm noticing as I lift my left leg and right arm, my jaw wants to get tight. Just noticing. Come back to reversed corpse pose, super melt. Bring the arms by the sides of the body. Do a couple shoulder rolls. Coming up through baby cobra. Up and back into child's pose. And if we need a little bit of greasing the way, I'm back to child's pose. A little bopping movement. Walking one fingertip forward. I've got my knees pretty wide. And I'm just taking the right fingertips and walking them forward, stretching through right side of the body. I can feel that from tailbone all the way through right side. Just walking it forward, lifting a little under the subscapula, under the armpit there. And then we can do a different variation now where we're walking the fingers, little spider fingers, over to the left side and breathing into the left side of the face. Sorry. I walked my fingers to the right and I'm breathing into the left side. Now I'm walking my spider fingers over to the left. Breathing into the right side. Now back to center a little bit forward. And now let's enjoy some shoulder circles as you slowly walk the hands back. You might just like find a spot that you want to hang out. As we walk all the way up into Vajradasana, diamond pose, shoulder circles. And circles in the opposite direction. Cat pose, hands come down to the floor, knees are in line with hips, and we enjoy movement through the entire spine. We're pretty light on these hands. fingers are spread very wide. Still getting sounds between the vertebra. Adjustments through the neck. Yes, the cooler it gets and the windier it gets into autumn, we'll get more popping, cracking, settling. We need more warming, juicing, flowing as an antidote. Let's bring this side to side. Inhale, center. Exhale, side. Find a heel. Inhale, center. Really feeling into side body, all this maneuvering. What can I do? How can I help? I want to contribute. I don't want to ignore. I want to be informed, but it would seem the media is playing a game with me, what it's showing me and what it's not showing me. Back to center, shake out the wrists, interlace the fingers and move through wrists. Move through wrists in opposite direction. Shake out the wrists. We're here in this diamond pose, just moving through thoracic spine here. Exhale, and this is your exhale, and inhale. Opening up, let the hands slide along the thighs as we move through spine with a little emphasis on upper thoracic spine, chest and heart. Oh, coming into a child's pose, maybe a nice wide leg child's pose. Could stack the forearms and rest here. I like to use this presence of my forearms to massage across my forehead. So I just roll my head across the forearms, massaging. I find pressure points and places that appreciate that little bit of pressure. Nice and slow. Making our way upwards. Feel free to grab a padding for the knee. We can do some just gentle range of motion movements and low lunges. Like, want to do one side first. Okay, that's it. So I've got some padding under the knee. Like I said, my knees have been a little bit cranky here. Toes could be untucked, toes could be tucked under. Oh, let's first just do some pelvic tilting. So just feeling, tailbone tucks under, tailbone moves back. Checking in with some of this anatomy. Then we can start taking this forward and backwards and exploring the landscape of this lunge. Nice. While we're here in the lunge, I've got my right knee down, so I'm bringing my right arm up, making some space in the tailbone, fanning open posterior, hanging out here in the therapeutic lunge, opening up these earth channels, earth face channels. Take a nice breath. And let's bring this to the outside. So I'm still in the same lunge, but now I'm just going to bring this left leg to the outside and enjoy a little bit of pulsing and movement. It's not really pulsing, it's just like gliding, opening up, adductors, groin attachment, and I'm feeling the interplay of this foot wants to turn outward. Feeling the interplay of these two hips. Let's do lunge on the opposite side. So yeah, I am of the Asian school. Like when the knees are cranky, like mash them into the floor and squeeze them and stretch them in every direction. Crawl around. Yeah. That's funny. Okay, we started with pelvic tilt. And we start moving into a little forward and backward lunge. We do want to feel a little bit aligned, like if we're getting real diagonally and wonky, might be time for an adjustment. Right, so we don't force the body to do anything, we just move with the naturality of it. It's a good alignment in our resting poses, might help bones and joints realign. Side's feeling a little wonky. Let's have a little hold in the center. My left leg is down, left arm comes up. It's interesting, where I'm feeling the most constriction is under the armpit. That's a pretty normal place for me too. My body. Nice, we take a big breath in, bring this arm down, and then we have this adductor, this sort of side lunge. So I'm going for my lunge, I'm bringing this right foot out, and now I'm enjoying some bobbing out to the side. And then this like play of the two hips. Allow yourself to be a little puppet like here. Not quite marionette in the sense of being controlled, but more just, puppet moving, just allowing yourself for this natural responsiveness with the upper body as you move through here. And we hold. And we're back to the center one more time. Diamond pose, Vajrasana. Really getting that good mash up through the knees. Nice. Let's come into a seated position. I'm just sitting on the edge of this. Let's come wide, like sitting on the edge of this pillow. Giving me just a little bit of lift. I much prefer folded blankets. I don't have one currently. And let's kind of keep going with that little bob and weave flowy thing. Just feeling this wide leg stance. No need to be too wide, but just gentle exploratory movement. We're here at center. Let's come up into the center, turn to the right. I've got both feet flexed, but my knees are very soft. And we breathe in and exhale a little bit forward. How much forward? Just enough that we activate the back of the leg. We want shoulders to be fairly even here. So if we're getting a little like leany to the side, then we're not in the hamstrings. So just being here. And inhaling back up over to the opposite side. Breath in. And we did that. Those nice ankle circles and foot flexes and things when we were on our back body. And those are phenomenal for opening up hamstring. So helpful. Next inhale, come back up. Let's play a little to the middle. Again, doesn't have to be static. Are there little micro movements here to get us going? Let your body be the guide here, how deep you're going, what necessary alignment of upper body, little exploratory movements through here as we make our way back up. Legs are still wide. We're going to inhale, arms overhead, and exhale into the side bend. Let's see, right arm is on the thigh or to the inside, and opening up, rotating chest towards the sky. So interesting. Still getting some of those little ligamenty clicks. Next inhale, all the way back up to center, both arms up. Exhale. So if we are rounded in the low back when we're coming into the wide leg stance, put something under the bum so we get the hips tilted forward and a nice alignment through the sacrum. We don't want to be tilted backwards into the tailbone. Next inhale, all the way up. Let's go back to the first side. Use that elbow for a little leverage. Turn the head so that we're just looking kind of straight out, a little bit down. And let's do some arm sweeps across the body. Rotate chest. And then let this arm lengthen in the opposite direction and enjoy that traction on the side of the neck. Play a little with the jaw. Inhale, sweep across. Open up, exhale, stretch and traction. Again, inhale. And just let that traction guide you back up to the center. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale to the opposite side. Big sweep across. Rotating open. And then let that arm come by the side for this delicious traction. Inhale. Again, in. Notice differences on two sides. Let that traction draw you on up to center. Whoa, roll the shoulders. Whoa, here. Wiggle the legs together. Make the windshield wiper. Back to these adductors. Butterfly. Baddha Konasana. Let's do a little bit of hip tilting while we're here. Inhale and exhale. Hips tilt forward. Tailbone tucks under. Very gentle. Just enough for the day. We're back in the center. Wherever you need to be in this pose, a few options. We could open the feet like a book. We could do fire face stretch, turn the palms inwards, open up the elbows, big breath in. And as you exhale, lead with elbows. Let's get a little fire moving. A sense of self, a sense of home, in the palace of the heart. From this grounded place, how do we act? How do we respond? How do we educate? How do we pray? How do we appeal? Where do the solutions live? Where are the paths we can walk? We ask these questions from an honest place of reclaiming our humanity. And slowly coming back up. Stretch both legs, make windshield wipers. Bring the feet into Sukhasana, easy pose. And let's take a twist from here. Inhale in the center. Exhale, your backhand is fingertips or palm pushing the chest forward. Turning towards the space behind, breathing. And breathing in. Exhale to center. Inhale in the center. Exhale and twist. Big breath in the pose. Exhale to the center. And a couple pranayama practices. Seated 3-part breath, breathing 5 times to the belly, 5 times to the chest, 5 times to the shoulders, and then this nice breath upwards and this nice breath downwards. Starting with the belly, breathing 5 times expansive. Let us calm the pranas. Get everything turned on, but calm. I've got one more breath to my belly. 5 breaths to the chest. As we're here returning to the breath in the form of three-part breath, pranayama, we can also observe for a little expansion and constriction in the body, in the breath, and the places we're breathing into. Maybe even starting to see what feels different. Let's come up to the shoulders, relax the jaw as you do this. Inhale up and back and down. About one more. Still getting sounds. Let's bring it all together. We're going to breathe upwards and downwards to flow in central channel. Belly, chest, shoulders up and back. Exhale, shoulders, chest, and belly. Last one. Allow the breath to dwell in the belly as you take a few breaths. Feel the grounded expansiveness, perhaps with the presencing of constriction in the pelvic bowl. Observe this body at the conclusion of our practice. Do you feel a little bit more in this body, present? Let our actions be guided from the wisdom of this body. Let our senses be cleansed, that we may be able to perceive truth. May humanity find its way to healing. If you're finding yourself in just the perfect place to continue into a little meditation or to spin around and come onto the floor for a nidra, I invite you to listen to the wisdom of this body and to be guided into what are the right next steps. Is it hydration? Is it food? Is it the obligations of life are calling and we're returning to them? But we're returning or embarking on the next thing really rooted and centered in this body. Let it be the guide. We're feeling so much in this moment as we are so connected. And we're at a moment where we don't have answers. We don't necessarily have clarity on the clear way through to the ending of our cycles of violence. We're not quite there yet, and that's a really painful growth point. And so return to the things that are meaningful for you. that help you and support you, and that also help us to contribute towards this bettering of humanity. So thank you all for joining today. And I posted our new moon solar eclipse circle. I was waiting to get a little info, a little confirmation that in fact meeting during the eclipse was a good idea. And I got 2 thumbs up, so let's go. So that's going to be the vibe and the invitation. I give a little like description and the thing, so that's in the community circle space. So check that out. So I might see you guys then on Saturday, and we have ancestors on Sunday. And if anybody is like, you know what, I'm going to jump into the Durga portal and take shelter in the shelter of Ma, I'll see you there. That's also an option. So lots of love to all of you, and I'll see you very soon.